Just wanted to do a quick video to show you how to make this super cool button, which has a really nice groovy hover effect. And it shouldn't take too long. So let's get into it. I'm going to be using the Scrimba IDE, which is super easy to use, no setup required. Just head over to scrimba.com. You might have to make an account if you don't have one already. And then you will be on your dashboard. You go to Scrims, New Scrim, and you can choose from various templates. We only need HTML and CSS for this, but generally you would use JavaScript with a button anyway, so it doesn't hurt to have this template here. But for this tutorial we won't actually be using the JavaScript, but that's fine. So as you can see, we have everything set up, an HTML page, which is linked to a CSS file and a JS file. So I'm going to kick off by adding the button, and I'm going to give it a type of button. This isn't strictly needed for what we're doing, but it's good practice. And you can put whatever text you like. I'm going to put, let's go. I am going to add a div with a class of flex container. Not strictly necessary for the button, but it'll just make it look a bit nicer and it won't be squidged up in the corner there. Yep, so hit save on that, and then we go over here. So you see Scrimba hopefully puts in, reset the margin and padding, which is very nice. I'm going to kick off by positioning that button. Target the flex container. Display, you've guessed it, flex. And then align items in the center. It won't do anything yet because I need to set the height of 100 viewport height. So you can see that has now centered it. Previously, it couldn't do that because the div was only taking up as much space as it needed, which was the height of the button. Now, to get the center alignment on the horizontal axis, we do justify content, center. And that just makes me feel a bit better about life. Okay, so onto styling the actual button. I'm going to kick off by making it a little bit bigger, or you can basically choose whatever. Oh, you need a selector. You can choose whatever width you fancy. I'm just going to go for 40% here. And then you need to put it up to the block level. Now I'm going to take off the default border, just because I find it not the most attractive, let's say. And then I'm going to set the colour to white for now. Clearly we can't see anything at the moment, but that's fine. We are going to continue on with the gradient next, and these are the colours I'm going to use for the gradient. So there's a nice blue one there and a purple and a pink. Obviously you can choose any colours you fancy. And to add the gradient, you do background image, linear gradient, and then you can set the direction you want it to go in. I want it to go to the right. And then you add in the colours you like. You need a minimum of 2. I don't know if there is a maximum. I know that you can definitely have 3. So let's go for it. First one, comma, second one, and this pink. So that has set the gradient on the button itself, which actually is quite nice, but it's not what we're here for. It's something you could use somewhere else, should you wish. And in order for it to set the gradient on the text rather than the button, what you need is to use WebKit background clip text, which is now clipping the background according to the shape of the text, but we still can't see it, but that's fine. It will be fixed when we do WebKit text fill color transparent. So now we have the gradient in our text, but not the background, but we also have nothing on the background, which is not what you want for a button. So we're going to fix that by adding it to the after pseudo element. For that to work, we need to have position relative on the button. And then setting up the pseudo element, button after, position, absolute. And then we need to set the content to be empty, and then the top, the left need to be 0, and we need to set the width and the height to 100%, not 200. that that would be a bit much. And then background to black. Woohoo! And you might be thinking, well, okay, I can't see it. Yes, that's because the background black is now over the top of the text. So to fix that, we do z-index -1. And there we go. It's all in place. I'm going to add some padding to the button. With buttons, you should always have more padding on the left and right than on the top and bottom. So I'm going to do 0.25 ems on the top and bottom and 0.5 ems on the left and right. And then I'm not a fan of the harsh borders, so I'm going to do border radius 10 pixels. That's actually a bit more than I planned. 5 pixels. Nice. And I'm going to increase the font size to, let's say, 1.5 rems. Now it's really starting to take shape, but we don't have any focus states or our animation in yet. So let's do that next. Button hover, button focus. I always like to add cursor pointer so the user knows that they can interact with it. Now, come back to the rest in a minute because we need to set up our animation before we put it in. Well, we can put it in, but there isn't much point if it's not going to do anything. This is where you declare the animation, what it's going to do. I'm going to call it color change, and it's going to go from 0% to 100%. If you wanted to have intermediary states that were different from the end result, you would put them in the middle here at, for example, 25 or 50%. But I'm just going to have the one change of state for now. So it kicks off with our background image as we set it on our button, and then it's going to basically reverse that. So just put the same one in and then switch around this colour for this one. That should do it. But it's not going to do anything yet because we need to tell it when to do it, which is going to be on the hover or on the focus. So to do that, animation name, color change, animation duration. I'm going to do 4 seconds. You can make it slower, faster if you like. And then I want it to stay changed as long as the user is on hover. By default, it would go back to the original after the animation has run, but I don't want that. So to prevent that, you do animation, fill mode, forwards. And that just basically means that it doesn't reset after the animation. So that should do it. The reason it's not working is because I've declared this as classes when I don't actually have a class. I've just used the button tag selector. So away we go. Woohoo! Look at that. Look at it go. Amazing. And the final thing I'm going to do is on the button active, so this is what happens when the user interacts with the button, I'm going to do transform scale 0.96, and then you'll see when people click they get this nice satisfying click effect. So yeah, that's how you make a gradient text button. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll speak to you next time.